Welcome back to another episode of yours truly, Trisha. I have a very special guest, a friend, also a fellow content creator, Astrid. Do you want to do a little introduction?
Yes, of course. First, thank you for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so happy. Actually, I feel like I'm hanging with a friend. No, truly.
Yes. But we actually have known each other for years.
Yeah,
so.
and you're friends with my cousin-in-law, or cousin. She's my cousin.
Yes. A quick introduction. My name is Astrid in French. Because I know, English speaker would say Astrid.
Astrid.
Yes.
Astrid. Okay, I got it. Noted.
And I was born and raised in the southeast of France, so where it's really warm, it's really nice, it's beautiful. And in 2014, so it's going to be 10 years, just this year, I decided I wanted to move somewhere new to learn English. Because my English was broken. I couldn't really speak English.
Wow.
And the plan was to stay for a year. And I've been here 10 years.
Well, that was my first question, was like, what brought you to Toronto, to Canada? So you answered that, but then can I ask, why did you stay?
So, initially why I came was because I wanted to learn English, and France and Canada have an agreement where you can apply for a visa. So it was one of the easiest, I'm being coach because, you can actually move to Canada. A lot of Canadians don't know, but they can also move to France for a year.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry. Why am I still here?
But yeah, you have to be into specific, they have guidelines and everything, but it's possible. That's why I came here, because it is easier than going to the States, for example. And my plan was to stay here for a year, learn English, get back home, and bring back my English to my small town. But actually, I did follow this plan. I stayed a year. I moved back home, and after a few weeks, I was like, I'm missing Toronto.
No way.
I felt like I didn't finish what I was supposed to do here.
So you came back.
So I applied for another visa.
You're kidding.
And I got it, and I moved back a few months after. And after I told myself, okay, you have to have a reason to stay here.
Yeah.
First one would be, if you find a job you like, you will stay. Second one, if you meet someone you like, it was because you couldn't meet anyone back home.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think now that I stay because I met someone, but I actually stay because I loved my job, and then I met someone. Yes. But it was because of my job. I really liked it, so I apply. So after you do this work holiday visa, you have to apply for permanent residency.
Wow.
And then citizenship.
You know, it's so amazing, and this is skipping a lot here, because I just find it so fascinating that you did all this on your own, figuring it all out. And what's so lovely is that you're helping others do the same thing, which is so great. And I want to talk a little bit about that, because tell us your story as to what you do, really. What is a day in the life?
So what I do is I create content for French speakers to help them navigate their life in Canada when they move here. So French speaker is a key word here. I don't only speak to French people like me. I speak to people that are coming from any places in the world that speak French.
Okay.
And it's 28 to 29 countries in the world that have French as a first language, official language. So it's a lot.
I did not. Okay.
A lot of people. But I mean, people will be coming from Morocco, from Congo, from Senegal, from Switzerland, from Belgium. So France is the main one, because I'm from there, but I talk to a lot of people.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what are your first impressions then of Canadians and coming here? What was your first impression? And be honest, don't worry, I won't judge. It's okay. I still love you.
So it's actually funny, because I remember exactly the day I arrived in Toronto, being on the Gardiner, which I didn't know at the time was, because the UP Express didn't exist.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to take a bus to go to an hotel and then walk to my Airbnb.
Really?
Yeah, the Airbnb host that told me to do that. And I remember seeing all these buildings, and I was like, oh my God, that's like it in movies. It was my first time in North America. So it's
wow.
And everything is so big. And then, all the people I met were so friendly and so nice. And something I've noticed about Canadians is even when we arrive and our English is so broken, they're so supportive. They will tell us your English is so good. And it will give us a confidence.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize they were not lying, but just being really supportive. But overall,
Canadians are nice.
They are, yes. Yeah. And I didn't have, and it's something like we have to keep in mind, it's like in 2014, we didn't have the information we have now online.
Yeah.
Instagram was just starting.
Yeah.
Like nobody was really sharing their experience. So everything I was discovering for the first time. And I didn't really have an idea of, who people were here.
Yeah.
When now I feel like a lot of people are expecting Canadian to be really, really nice.
Okay.
For me, it was like,
You didn't know. Yeah.
no. I didn't, I prepare a lot, but I didn't have access to all the information we have now.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, totally. But I think it's also speaks to what you do because you are a great place for people, like a resource for people who are coming and saying like, what do I do? How do I get started?
Yes.
So if you can just speak to that, because I know you just did a workshop on.
Yes.
Now, like, talk to us about that because I think people could really learn from that.
Yes.
I think it's so interesting.
So what I do, I try to explain this ways. Like I will create content to like facilitate like life for people when they move here, but also when they're already here. So for example, the workshop I had on Saturday, it's for people to learn how to grow your network. Because your network, you have it like, especially in Toronto. If you don't have a network, you're going to miss on so many opportunities. Like you have 70% of jobs, for example, that are not online.
Yeah.
It's a big part of like your experience here. And because you grow your network when you were at school.
Yeah.
From your friends, from like sports, from your siblings.
From family.
From family. And that was one of my main goals too, because back home I have a great network because my parents, my entire family,
school, your classmates,
and they had a company, so they knew a lot of people. And my goal was to come here and see if I could grow my network by myself. But then I realized a lot of people don't understand that's the big part.
Yeah, it's also scary.
It's so scary, especially when your English is broken.
Yeah, well, yes, I can imagine. So, tell me one thing someone can do as someone coming here and, English not their first language.
Yes. So first, attend one of my workshops.
Yeah.
So I will help you, and I will
attend one of her workshops.
I will walk you through every steps to like learn about yourself, how to present yourself, and what are the codes that we use here that we don't necessarily like use in other countries, but also how you follow up with people. I walk them through like every step.
Wow.
As I don't want to leave anything like as an assumption.
Yeah.
Because assuming might get you in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And I share all the mistakes I've made. But one thing I always tell people is like meet people outside of your community. Yeah. It's really important to meet French speakers because they're going to be able to help you and to share the experience, maybe something that's more connected to what you're living. But if you only connect with newcomers, for example, they're in the same situation as you. Yeah. They're not going to open more doors for you.
Yeah, you won't learn from, yes, I get it.
It's by working, for example, when I work with your cousin and I made a lot of friends. That's where I met my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I got to learn from like people that grew up here.
Yeah.
And
that's the best way, right?
Exactly. And I will be in the office and asking them like, why are you guys using this word in English instead of this one? And they're like, let's regroup.
Yeah.
How we can help you. But the one of the first advice is, yes, find people in your community because they're going to support you, but find people outside of your community to improve your English, to open more doors, and to learn about the culture.
Okay. It's so fascinating. And I'm also very fascinated by your content because it's bilingual. So I don't know if we can just share a little bit on like why you do that or like how much, like what's involved in that? Because I know it seems like a lot of work. Yeah. I can barely do it just like in English, so I can imagine.
Yeah, so I share content on my Instagram, on my blog, and on YouTube. So on YouTube, I will have the subtitle that people can change the way they want because I can do a voiceover. No. But it makes sense. But everything is bilingual and has been bilingual since I first started. Because the main reason was because my coworkers will tell me, we see what you're posting stuff, but we can't understand what you're saying. And I realized, but if I want to make friends and English-speaking friends, and now social media being such a big part of your life, if they're not able to connect with what I'm doing, like I'm missing
There's a whole gap. There's a whole gap. Yeah, totally.
So it takes a lot of time because I can't just post a story. Even if I'm speaking, I have to like write under in English.
Oh yeah.
And I write everything myself. I know some people use an app.
No.
I'm just comfortable in English now and I prefer, and I feel like it's more me because sometimes I'm going to change like some expression. another thing, I will add context for English speakers because I may say something in French that doesn't make sense for you guys.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. For blog posts, I will have to do everything in French and I translate everything in English. And yeah, it's like even like the post. So sometime on Instagram, if you want to do a long caption, I can't because I have to divide in English and French. So I think I could use the tool. I know Instagram
allows you to do that, but no.
But I don't have control on like how they're gonna translate it.
Yes.
So it won't be, maybe a word can be like yeah. I don't want to take the risk.
Yeah.
And I'm just so used to all these options didn't exist before.
I know social media has changed even since you came 10 years ago.
Yes.
Can you speak to that? Like how you've adjusted, being a bilingual content creator, how have you adjusted to this shift in social media and all things online?
It's actually crazy because I was thinking about it last week and thinking like I started with a blog. My blog was I remember. And it's like I love it because it's like it has like so many memories over the years and people keep finding the content still.
Do they?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
still have because I have a lot about like visa, about how to go to the doctor, places to visit, what to do for a week here.
People would tell me blogs are dead. I'm like, that's not true.
No,
right?
It's actually not true.
Okay.
You just have to link it to your Pinterest too. I've been doing that since the beginning of the year, spending more time. Yes. And it's going up. So like I'm actually really happy about that. But you have like when I started, I just had the blog and it was supposed to be like just a diary of my 1 year here.
And then
French people were asking me like, can you post about that? Can you post about that? And Canadian were asking me, can you post your outfit? And back then it was your outfit, it was like you were posting. And I was like, okay. Then I did Instagram because Instagram came after. I was like, okay, I have to have an Instagram for that so people can find me. Then 2 or 3 years ago, I decided to add YouTube. And YouTube, that was really the challenge. So I was like, I'm going to miss on the part that can't understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I actually found a way with the subtitles.
Okay.
And it's 80% right. So like it's not bad. But it changed because the way to connect with people, because before they will leave a comment on your blog and that's all.
Yeah.
But now they can reach out to you through emails, so your Instagram, so your blog.
They're connected.
Through like Facebook.
Yeah.
Because it's still like the immigrant community use Facebook a lot.
Yeah.
The group.
Do they?
Yeah. For the groups, because that's where you share information. They have ways.
They have also more opinions now and yes. Totally.
More on YouTube than on other platforms.
Really?
Yes.
Can I ask, where's your most, where do you find you spend your most of your time? On your blog or?
YouTube, because YouTube I post 2 videos a week.
Wow.
So that's a lot. So the Sunday one is I pick a topic and I will explain deep into it. So it's a bit longer. And the Wednesday one are the vlogs, so that more for people that are already here to discover the city.
Okay.
So at least I can reach out to two different audiences while they're preparing and after they're
here and they want to know more about the city.
Yeah.
And I know, just speaking about social, the network and getting out there and what would you say is the biggest difference in our social interactions, for Canadians versus back home?
So what I really like back home is I found in the content creation, there were a lot more creativity.
Oh, interesting.
Some people go really far into the content creation.
Wow.
So I really, really like that. Maybe because there is more competition too.
Okay.
Because Toronto is still a smaller.
I think so. Eh?
Yeah, it's still smaller in terms of content creators.
I feel like everyone knows each other. It's the same circles, right? You always go to an event. It's the same people all the time.
It's the same people. Yes. Where I feel maybe because we don't have that many big cities.
That's true.
In France, we have bigger.
Okay.
I found that there was a big difference when I was seeing the contents, a way more. Even when they have brand deals, they will go really, really far in the content creation and
the editing,
the process. So even it's not also not fair to say that, but the cities, for example, in Paris, the streets are so pretty. So it's.
What do you mean? You don't think Dundas Street is that?
I love Toronto. The construction doesn't make it easy for us to create content outside.
Yeah, no, it's true. You have to there's very select streets.
Yeah, and sometimes they just kick you out too.
Yeah.
I
think it's getting more I think people are getting used to it more
Yes.
now. But yeah, for sure, when we first started, it was like awkward. You're like, take a picture.
But now it's actually what I like here.
Yeah.
Is people, they don't mind you. If you're
Yes.
filming, if you have your tripod in the middle.
But isn't it like that back home, you think?
No, I felt like and again, it was like a few years ago, but I feel like even when I talk to French people, they tell me like,
Really?
they're like, why are you vlogging in the street? I'm like, because I want my content. And I don't mind. And people don't really care.
Yeah, people don't care now. I think it's very norm.
Yeah.
What are like some cultural differences do you find? I know you can say whatever you want here.
No, people we were saying nicer, but I think they also deliver messages better if they have something wrong to say.
Who does?
Here.
Here, really?
Yeah.
I'm shocked by that.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'll bring you with French people. We'll see. They are really. And I feel like when I'm with French people, they're like they will voice their opinion
Yeah.
stronger than. And even when you don't want it, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want your opinion. That's right.
But they'll give it.
Yes. So I see a big difference in the way they are doing. They are delivering, like, even if they want to critique something, criticize
Very
something.
straight.
Yes, very straightforward, which is a hard adjustment for people moving here because they feel like nobody's telling them like the truth. Like they're like,
Because I agree. I feel like we're more reserved, more like, and so they, as a friend, someone who's immigrating here, they're like, are you telling me what I want to hear or what I need to hear?
but I always tell them it's also like we can say something wrong while still being nice. Like we can say it's just having a more empathy and being like, I don't want to hurt you, but that's wrong, or like we could do it better. And I actually appreciate like a bit more because.
So you think that's common for people, like for you, like when you meet people and they go to your workshops, you actually have to talk to them about that.
Yeah.
Seriously,
I thought last week,
really?
and I also picnic in the summer every month. Like in the summer, I also free picnic for my followers, and like we had like 70 people showing up.
Get out.
Yes, it's really intense. I love it. And last week again, we had the first one of the season, and
Wow.
some of them told me that, and I'm like, and I feel like I'm really like here. I'm really French for you guys. But for French people, I'm really Canadian.
Really?
Yes. But because
You've been here for 10 years?
yeah, and most of a lot of my friends are either people that have been here for 10 years or Canadians. My boyfriend was raised here.
Yeah.
So I spend most of my time actually speaking English and living in
It's so funny. They think you're more Canadian now.
yeah. Oh, when I'm home, it's the same. I'm like, oh, you're really Canadian. Especially when I travel, because now we travel together back home. He comes with me every time. And it's like, we live the same way, like, not the same way, but like we have, you know,
Same mannerism?
Yes.
Or same
habits that you don't realize you have until you go somewhere else. You're like, oh, we actually more like Canadian.
Have you accepted that?
Oh, yeah. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that because I'm still really French. My fridge is full of cheese, so we're good. That's as long as we have cheese in the fridge, we're French.
And what is one great like learning or lesson that you've taken on, like you've learned from this experience of coming here and staying here and being here over the 1 year that you
And
told yourself?
I'm being Canadian now, so it's official. The kids.
It's official that you're right. So what is your one lesson? Like, what is your one takeaway?
My one lesson is that we can think differently, but still be right. Because I feel like
that.
I grew up in a small town, really small town, and often like we only have one way, and if you don't have the same way of thinking, you're wrong. But I realize here, like we can think differently and still be right, and still get to the same result.
I appreciate that. Actually, I was like, that's a really good lesson for life in general, because it's true. And you have to appreciate other people's, like their opinions. And do a quick fire round of this chat here. What do you love most about Canada?
It's relaxing. I know it sounds crazy because living in Toronto
is not relaxed,
but I'm not stressed as much as I was back home every day.
I'm happy to hear that. That's a good thing. And what French tradition have you continued to carry on here?
So every January we do la galette des rois, a skin cake.
Okay.
So I'll make it myself. I will prepare everything, and I will have like our friends, but like the French people and the non-French people coming, and they love it.
I want to try. I need to invite
for next. It's the first Sunday of January, so you have an invitation.
Okay. Thank you. I'm coming. Describe your perfect day in Toronto.
Oh, perfectly in Toronto. I will get to Maman is like a coffee shop
Yes,
that's
I love
downtown.
Yes.
Get the pain au chocolat and croissant. And my friend worked there too. So it's like going to like your small town and like knowing people at the bakery. Then we'll get food in the patio, like somewhere,
Yeah.
like walk around and a picnic on the beach. Sherwood Beach probably because you can just bike there.
Yeah. Do you bike a lot?
I'm really scared in the city, but I like my arbourfront.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's all
the lane.
Yes, it is so pretty.
It is really pretty.
Yeah.
Especially during the summer.
Yeah, but being with friends, doing that would be nice.
Final question. Where do you see yourself retiring? Canada or France?
So actually, we need to add Jamaica because my boyfriend is Jamaican.
Okay. I mean,
So that's an option.
Okay. I mean, you could do all three.
Yes, ideally. So if you listen to him, he wants to be in the French Riviera, Côte d'Azur, because it's. And I spend a lot of my time there, and we're going there in a few weeks.
Wow.
So ideally, I would like to be here in Toronto, but also have an option to travel when it's too cold here. So like south of France will be fine, and
then Jamaica. Of course.
Yeah. I mean, we have to represent the three cultures we have in the house.
I like that. And where can people find you, learn about your workshops, just follow on your adventures? Like, tell us.
So you can follow me on Instagram, Fringe in Tow, or Astrid Moulin. It's the same. You will find me. Or on YouTube, same name, and on my blog, which is bilingual. So you can also find the good thing to do in Toronto on my blog.
Well, I thank you so much. Honestly, it's so great to learn about you and what you do. It's really inspiring. Honestly, it's different. It's unique, and you don't find a lot of your kind of content online, which is it's amazing. And I hope people who are immigrating here find you because you're such a great resource, and the fact that you're so willing to help I love it. You're giving back.
Yeah, it's exactly. And I always say like, it's not everybody in the world can say like they do something they love while helping other people.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what you're doing. And you went through it. So you know, and you're sharing your mistakes and all your lessons.
And I show them it's also possible to be friends with Canadians because that's a big topic that it's hard to be friends with Canadians.
Really?
Yes.
Did you think that too?
Yes. Okay. It was hard especially when I was going to a lot of events, like they wouldn't talk to me. And I think because my English was broken, or I don't know, but it was really hard to break into like circles. But I think it's also because you have your friends in school.
Yeah.
So you don't need new friends. For us, we're like eager to meet new people. We have no friends.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit different.
Well, I'm glad you broke that myth because you're doing it and you're living it.
Yes.
So it's so good to see. Yeah. Now you can tell people.
Yeah, it's possible.
Canadians are not that,
No, it's just, it takes time and you need to find the right people.
Yeah. Well, you did. Well, I'm glad I found you.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.